Pre-run warm-up. Start with arm circles. Do these for as long as you need to. You should start to feel your shoulders and upper back loosening up. And then the other way. Keep your arms as straight as you can doing these. Do a few single arm rotations. I tend to do 4 or 5 in each direction on each arm. Then move on to leg swings. You'll need to hold on to something to do this. Keep your torso as still as you can. All the movement should be through your hip, and keep your leg as straight as you can comfortably. If your hamstrings or hip flexors are quite tight, you may find that you have to bend your leg a little bit more to increase your mobility. I usually go for about 10 to 15 on each leg. And then side to side swings. Again, trying to keep your torso as still as possible. Movement should be through your hip and leg pretty straight again. I'm not doing too many for demonstration purposes, but again, I would do 10 to 15 on each side, or you can time yourself. Cross body toe touches. Nice straight legs. Keep your arms pulled back as you do this. So you don't want to let your arms move forward, and you're keeping your legs as straight as possible. If your hamstrings are quite tight and your inner thighs are quite tight, you may find it's difficult to get towards your toes. You can help this by standing with your legs slightly wider apart. Go for about 30 seconds for that one. Walking hip rotations. If you have the space, do this as a dynamic exercise, so you're moving while you're doing it. If you're a little bit wobbly, put your hands on your hips to help with balance. So as you're walking, you try and get your knee as high as you can, ideally up towards hip height, and keep your foot flexed as you bring your leg around to the side. Now in the other direction. I coach my runners saying this is like climbing over a barbed wire fence, so you're trying to get your leg as high as you can as you bring it round to the front. Toe and heel walks. Toe walks first of all. The idea of these exercises and the walking hip rotations is that as you're moving and walking like this, you'll be slightly off balance, so it starts to get your core working well for running. It'll also stretch out your calves and your shins. I find the heel walks quite challenging. If you are wobbling around quite a lot, try bracing your core, so pull your tummy back in towards your spine slightly, and it can also help having your hands on your hips. Ankle mobility. This is really important. You mustn't neglect this before running. So I go for ankle rotations in both directions, and then I point and flex my toes. I tend to get quite stiff ankles, so I really take my time doing this, and it helps to hang on to something for support as well. Luckily, you can't hear the cracking of my ankles on this. And the last one, walking, pulling your knee into your chest. So bracing your core will really help with this. Because you're spending a little bit extra time standing on one leg, you'll find it a little bit harder to balance. So if you pull your tummy in towards your spine slightly, that will help. And as you pull your knee up, I want you to flex your toes up. So this is a good way of practicing dorsiflexion, which is a really important part of running. Now we're moving into a glute activation exercise. This is called a step back. I do this with my arms held up to my chest, but you can put your hands on your waist. So your standing leg stays completely still, and you should feel it working in your hamstring and in your glute. So that's your bum. About 30 seconds on each leg is fine for that. And then hip hike. So you keep your legs completely straight and pull one leg up off the floor from the hip. Again, a glute activation exercise. This works the muscles at the side of your bum. If it feels really easy doing it on the floor, stand on a raised surface. So I would stand on my stairs, keep your foot flexed. You might need to hang on to something and let that leg drop up and down. This is harder because you get a bigger range of movement. So these exercises are designed to get your glutes working properly, so that it'll help you when you're running. And once you're ready to go running, do a few more leg swings in each direction and go.